Okay guys, welcome back. This is going to be the tutorial on comparison operators part 1. Okay, so in this tutorial what we're going to do is we're just going to cover the first four comparison operators that I want to talk to you about in JavaScript. So we can use the comparison operators to compare different values, and that will evaluate to a Boolean true or false. Okay, so for example, we could check to see if the number 10 is greater than the number 5, that would evaluate to true. If the number 10 is greater than the number 7, that would also evaluate to true. Okay, or for example, if the number 2 is greater than the number 2, well, that would evaluate to false because they're the same, right? So we're just going to get a bit of practice with this, how we can do some sort of expression that evaluates to true or false. And then throughout this chapter, we'll begin to learn how we can actually then make decisions based on that. Run this piece of code if something is true, but run that piece of code if something evaluates to false, okay? So let's get started. What we can do is we can just console.log out, console.log, we're going to do our first comparison. Let's check to see, let's hypothetically assume that we're the manager of a bar and we want to let people in if they are greater than 21. So our first guest arrives. So we're going to use the term guest because we're fancy, right? We want to be an up-class bar. We're selling cocktails and espresso martinis. So Kira is our first guest, and we check her ID and she's 32. So 32 is greater than 21. Semicolon to end our statement. Okay, so do you think that will evaluate to true or false? Well, 32 is greater than, it is a bigger number than 21, so that will evaluate to true, the Boolean true. So if I save and refresh, we get true. So Kira is now allowed into our bar. We now have one person there. She goes over and gets herself a drink. We're starting to make some money, okay? Her friend Jessica arrives next, and Jessica is a similar age. Jessica's 29. They met at work. So is 29 greater than 21? Well, that's true. So we decide we're going to let her friend in as well, okay? So we get true. Okay, awesome. So they're at the bar. They're having a great time. Now, a guy appears, okay, so console.log, maybe his name is Jake, we check his ID, so he's 24, okay, 24 is still greater than 21, so it's 24 greater than 21, that is true, so we're going to let him in, okay, awesome. Then we get a bit of a drunk guy comes up, and it turns out he's only 19, so is 19 greater than 21, semicolon, well, that's going to evaluate to false, right, because 19 is not greater than 21. No, it is less. So that will evaluate to false. So let's have a look. So that is false. So we're not supposed to let him in, but the bouncers, they're only new. They're like, what do you think, Dara? And I say, you know what, let's let him in. No one's looking. Let's pretend, let's change it now to being greater than 18. So is 19 greater than 18? Yes, it is. Awesome. So now we're after letting 4 people in a row in because, we want to make some money. We don't want to go bankrupt for our bar. So everyone's been brought in. Welcome, everybody. Okay, awesome. So guys, that is the comparison operator greater than. Okay, we can also do greater than or equal to. So let me just delete all of this. That kind of young 19-year-old we let in, his friend also appears. And, maybe we're gone lax now. So it's like, we'll let them in if they're like 19 or older, right? But this guy's only 18. So let's say we're saying console.log 18 is greater than 18, okay? So what do you think is going to happen here? Well, 18 is actually not greater than 18 because it's the same value, right? 18 is equal to 18, but it's not greater than. So that's going to evaluate to false, right? Because 18 is not greater than 18, it is the same value. So that's false. But we're going to loosen our conditions again. Now we're going to say, let them in if they are 18 or older. So we could say, let them in when 18 is greater than or equal to 18. So that now will evaluate to true, okay? So just to remind you, if we do console.log 18 is greater than 18, that's going to evaluate to false because 18 is not greater than 18. But if we then use the greater than or equal to, okay, the chevron and the equal to sign, 18 is greater than or equal to 18? Yes, it is. So we're going to get false for the first expression and true for the second. Okay, so let's refresh and have a look. Awesome, false and true. So I think you get the idea. We can also do less than or equal to as well. if you wanted to do those comparisons. So for a bit of practice, let's move away from our bar example. Let's just check it out. Say, okay, is 10, less than 15? Well, that will evaluate to true because 10 is less than 15. So let's have a look. That evaluates to true. You could also do 10 is, less than or equal to 15. So that will also evaluate to true because it is, less than or equal to. It is less than. Okay, awesome. So guys, there are the first four comparison operators I want you to be aware of in JavaScript. We have greater than or equal to, less than, or less than or equal to. One last thing I want to show you is we can do the comparison operators with variables. So we don't need to directly just start typing in numbers. We can also do a check with variables. So we're going to say let Jessica age be equal to 32. Remember Jessica. So now what I want to do is I want to do a comparison of a variable to a number. So I want to say, okay, console.log, is Jessica age, that variable, greater than or equal to 21? So now what we're doing is we're actually comparing a variable with a value of 32 to a number. So we're saying Jessica age, that variable, is that greater than or equal to 21? Well, what we know is the value of that variable is 32. So we're really checking, is 32 greater than or equal to 21? And we know that that will evaluate to true because yes, 32 is a bigger number than 21. So let's save and refresh. Awesome, and we get true. Just to show you an example where that would be false, we could say let Jake age equal to 7. Okay, so Jake should not be anywhere near a nightclub. No offense to Jake, you should be out playing with your friends. So we're going to say Jake age, is that greater than or equal to 21? Well, that's going to evaluate to false, right? Because really what we're saying is the variable Jake age is equal to 11. Okay, we're assigning 11 to that variable Jake age. And then here we're doing our check. We're saying, is Jake's age, we can put in the S here if you want. Make sure you do it in both places. So Jake's age. So console.log, Jake's age is greater than or equal to 21. Well, 11 is not greater than 21. No, it's like 10 below or less. So that's going to evaluate to false, okay? So let's save and refresh. And we get false. Okay, awesome. So guys, in the next tutorial, we'll look at the next four comparison operators in JavaScript. And just one thing to be aware of, remember, the Boolean true and false are not equal to the string true and false, okay? So remember, console.log, the Boolean true, that value there, is different to true inside of quotes because the first value is a Boolean value, the second is just a string. Okay, so let's just show them on the console. So see here, Boolean is true, and the string is type. It's red. It's in quotes. Okay, awesome. So guys, congratulations. We've just covered the first four comparison operators in JavaScript. I hope that makes sense. If you found it a bit confusing, please feel free to watch this video back and get a bit of practice. But in the next tutorial now, we're going to look at the next four comparison operators in JavaScript. So I'll see you in the next tutorial.